Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan, and today we're going to be ranking the 10 best duos in the NHL so far this season. Now, we've seen a bunch of players just light it up so far this year, but we've seen a lot of players also have some pretty major help with their teammates, forming dynamic duos and just dominating the league so far in 2021. So, when it comes to this season, who truly are the best duos in the NHL this year, and which duos make our top 10? Watch till the end for all of the rankings, all the picks, and hit that subscribe button if you are just dropping by. 70% of the people that are watching these videos are not subscribed, so every bit helps on the road to 32K. Now, starting today's video, we're going to go for the top 10 best duos in the NHL so far this season, and before we get into number 1, I'll be listing a bunch of honorable mentions for guys that just missed this top 10. But we're going to start out in the top 10 at number 10, and the 10th best duo so far in the NHL this season. I'm going to go to probably the most unexpected one on this list, going to the Florida Panthers and Alexander Barkov and Carter Verhaeghe. Now, Florida's first line just in general has been fantastic for them in Duclair, Barkov, and Verhaeghe, but mostly Barkov and Verhaeghe, who right now, both of them are playing at the top of their game. Now, Barkov, to start out, I've had some criticisms in the past. I always thought he could be up to his Selke Trophy level, but kind of took a step back after 2018 and raised his offense, but kind of declined in defensive play. So far this year, he has been a beast in both categories, and the offense output has been great too as well. 18 games played, 7 goals, 12 assists for 19 points. When it comes to Carter Verhaeghe, he's been a depth player for the Tampa Bay Lightning for a long time. Signed with the Florida Panthers this last offseason, and so far has been terrific for them. In 18 games, has 7 goals, 6 assists for 13 points. All those points, by the way, coming on even strength. So he's not even on the power play whatsoever, but still able to get the job done. That pairing to me has been brilliant, and that pairing is one of the reasons why the Panthers have been so good to start out this season. And next up, we're going to go on to the 9th best duo in the NHL this season, and thinking about it now, actually, the 10th spot is pretty surprising with Barkov and Verhaeghe, but the 9th best duo in the league this year is even more so. We're now going to flip our attention to the Philadelphia Flyers and James Van Riemsdyk and Joel Farabee. Now, I love both of these players. They're both Americans, so they're both beauties, but they are absolute beauties. And with James Van Riemsdyk specifically, he's the most interesting, I would say, out of the two. Joel Farabee was a super underrated young player these past couple of seasons, has really taken that next step, especially in terms of even strength play and power play ratio. He's been very, very good in all areas. But James Van Riemsdyk is an interesting one as a guy who was paid a ton in the John Tavares free agent year. He was a guy that got $7 million, a big contract by Philadelphia. Hasn't really been able to stay healthy or consistent in his time with Philly yet until this season, where both of these guys have been terrific. With JVR in 16 games, he has 9 goals, 13 assists for 22 points, tied for first in power play goals this season. When it comes to Joel Farabee, in 16 games, he has 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points, was fantastic in that Lake Tahoe game against the Bruins, showing what he was really made of. But both of these guys have been rolling so far this season, throughout the season. It isn't just a one-week thing. Both of these guys have been on their games, and especially together, especially in the power play, have connected multiple times. I love both of these guys, and I think this connection will definitely grow and continue to thrive throughout this season. And now moving on to the 8th best duo in the NHL this season. This is a lot more expected, and they both have been great to start out this year. We're now going to go to the Tampa Bay Lightning and Brayden Point and Steven Stamkos. Now, this duo has been good for a long time, but it's mostly been on the power play where they've gotten their connections. This year, though, they both played together on the same line and have both been great together as well. When it comes to the point total so far with Brayden Point, in 17 games played, 6 goals, 11 assists for 17 points, a point per game, and with Steven Stamkos, sorry, no pun intended on the points, with Steven Stamkos in 15 games played as 9 goals, 8 assists for 17 points. Now, as a person that watches a lot of Tampa, both of these guys have been off to fantastic offensive starts, but defensively, I think they've both been very solid too, especially Stamkos compared to these past couple of years, whereas defensively, there's been some suspect plays, but he's been a lot more consistent, he's been a lot more average than he usually has been, and I think that's a great sign. With Brayden Point, he's just solid at defensively as he's always been. But on top of the offense, on top of the play driving, this line just gets it done. They've been split off a little bit recently, but still in general are playing the most together and are still absolute dynamite. Then going on to number 7 and the 7th best duo in the league so far this year, though, we're now going to go to the Tampa Bay Lightning rival in the Washington Capitals, and you guys are going to know what I'm going to be talking about here in the top 2 duo of Alex Ovechkin and Nicholas Backstrom. Now, these two guys being on this list is not surprising whatsoever, and somehow they are good once more. When it comes to the point total so far, with Ovechkin in 14 games has 6 goals, 9 assists for 15 points. The goal scoring hasn't been insane, but the point totals have still been pretty good. And when it comes to Nicholas Backstrom, especially in 18 games played, has been getting a lot done. 8 goals, 14 points for 22, or 14 assists for 22 points, and especially on the power play, they've been working out really, really well. Now, again, there's not much to say about this duo that hasn't been already said. This has been one of the most consistent and great duos just in the past decade itself. Such great chemistry, such great friends together, and I think this duo will, as the season progresses at least, continue to play the way they have. And now we're going to move on to the 6th best duo in the NHL so far in 2021. This is a duo that's had some problems, I think, before this year, but have really kind of put it all together in terms of playing together consistently and playing up to a fantastic elite offensive level. Now we're going to move on to the Chicago Blackhawks, Patrick Kane, and Alex DeBrincat. Now, both of these guys, both Americans, both wingers, haven't really had the greatest last year or so in 2020. It just wasn't really too consistent, especially with Alex DeBrincat, who did take a little bit of a step back compared to the 2 years prior. But this year, Pius Suter centering that line, they've found a new kind of chemistry, and both of them, especially together, have been rocking offensively. In terms of the point totals in 20 games, Patrick Kane has 9 goals, 21 assists for 30 points. DeBrincat, on the other hand, has 16 games played to his name, 9 goals, 10 assists for 19 points. This line together has 49 points combined in 36 games played. Not too bad in terms of the point totals, and the offensive game, the transition play, and the play driving, especially when it comes to the power play and overtime, is absolutely what it should be. I will say this line offensively might be one of the best on this entire list. Defensively, there is still some problems. Patrick Kane, once again, has been poor defensively, to say the least, and DeBrincat has kind of just been there. Defensively, there is more to be desired. If they were at an average level, they would be a lot higher, but offensively, you can't really deny just how good they've been so far. And next up, we're going to move on to the 5th best duo in the NHL so far this season. We go from a line in Chicago, which is great on offense, elite on offense, but poor on defense, to a line that is great on offense and absolutely elite on D. Going to the Vegas Golden Knights, Mark Stone and Max Pacioretty. Both of these guys have been awesome to start out the season in really both areas. When it comes to the point total, so far Mark Stone in 16 games played, he has 4 goals, 13 assists for 17 points. And when it comes to Max Pacioretty, in 16 games played, has 8 goals, 5 assists for 13 points. Now the point totals might not look as elite as some other players or other duos like the Chicago one, but in terms of overall impact, in terms of play driving and puck protection and overall play, which is the big thing here still, this is one of the best lines out there and best duos out there as well. Both of these guys, especially Mark Stone, have been great on defense this year. I know Max Pacioretty being great on defense, it's difficult to understand, but it has been somewhat of a case this year that he has improved substantially. Of Mark Stone, nobody's denying just how good defensively he's been. He's once again one of the best out there this year, and on top of the offense he's been able to bring this year as well. This is the line that I think pretty much brings everything, and especially these two guys together, whether it be even strength or on the power play, are absolutely dynamite, and that will continue over the next year or so. Then going on to number 14, though, this is a duo that has been really tested over these past couple of years, but continues to score and produce and get better. This year, I think there's been some consistency and luck issues, but they're still one of the best in the NHL, and so far have been, once again, very, very solid. We're now going to go to the Colorado Avalanche at number 4, Nathan MacKinnon and Mikko Rantanen. Now, with Nathan MacKinnon to start off, he has had a good start to the season. In 15 games played, has 4 goals, 14 assists for 18 points. Hasn't been absolutely exploding in the league, but he did miss about a week or so of injury, and that kind of held him back a little bit. But in terms of overall play and production and play driving, he's actually had a very, very solid season still. It's just kind of getting unlucky in terms of the other teammates he's had so far, with especially guys like Landeskog not really putting the puck in the net like they should. When it comes to Mikko Rantanen, though, in 16 games played, he has 7 goals, 7 assists for 14 points. He's been good also. I have noticed he's taken a little bit of a step back. Let's say this duo was like it was last year, they would have been higher on this list. Mikko Rantanen has still been good though, and I think this is just a matter of time before this line really starts to click once again. This duo really starts to get going once more. I think it was just kind of a consistency and injury issue. Now they're back, now they're rolling, and the rest of the year should be a lot more consistent in that regard for Colorado. And now moving on to the third best duo in the NHL this season, and we're going to go now to the Edmonton Oilers, and it's not going to be Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl because once more we have to say that they do not play together on even strength. Power play, yes, but even strength, no. We're now going to go to Connor McDavid and Jesse Puljujarvi. Now, in terms of point totals, obviously Connor McDavid has been better than Jesse Puljujarvi, but this duo in terms of their overall play has really brought everything to the Edmonton Oilers. With Connor McDavid, he's been pretty good to start out this season. In 21 games played, his 13 goals, 25 assists for 38 points. Meanwhile, with Jesse Puljujarvi, in 20 games played, he's put up 5 goals, 3 assists for 8 points. But I want to look at the point totals when it comes to, well, really Jesse Puljujarvi specifically. Obviously, McDavid is super impressive, but it's just how they're playing that they are this high. Now, obviously, you just look at this pairing and say that Connor McDavid is the one carrying it, but in terms of defensive play, Jesse Puljujarvi has been not just one of the best Edmonton Oilers, but one of the better forwards in the entire league this year. He has been amazing on defense, consistently too. And Connor McDavid defensively is playing his best hockey right now, I would say 100%, and offensively still is at an amazing elite #1 level. This really, I think, brings a lot, and I think for Jesse Puljujarvi, you're starting to see the real chemistry come in over these past couple weeks. It's just a matter of time before the scoring really starts to get going because both of these guys have been terrific. We're now going to go on to the second best duo in the NHL to start out this season so far though. Going on to number 2, we're going to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs, Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner. Now, I would say especially this last game or so, they kind of been split apart, and it worked out with William Nylander getting those 2 fantastic goals, but when it comes to the overall season so far, Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner in total have been awesome and rocking together. 20 games played for Auston Matthews, 21 games played for Mitch Marner, with Matthews 18 goals, 13 assists for 31 points. Marner 21 games played, 9 goals, 21 assists for 30 points. Both these guys are at the top of the NHL leaderboard in scoring, top of the NHL leaderboard in points. They've both been prolific together, whether it be on the even strength play or on the power play. The power play actually is kind of taking a little bit of a step back in the past week, but the even strength play continues to be fantastic. Both of these guys, even individually, are awesome, but together so far, they have been absolutely, well, so far at least, worth their contracts. Now, before we get into the best duo right now in the NHL, we first need to give some honorable mentions to guys that, again, just missed this top 10. Starting with the Arizona Coyotes, Connor Garland and Nick Schmaltz. Both of these guys offensively have been rocking, but especially Connor Garland, just in everything, has been one of the best forwards in the NHL this year. He, whenever I watch Arizona, is elite, and he's always been an underrated player for me, but he's been awesome. Same thing with Nick Schmaltz. Going on to the Ottawa Senators, Josh Norris and Brady Tkachuk. Tkachuk is leading in scoring, but both of these guys together have been awesome on that first line for the Sens, and especially recently are developing some sick chemistry that is really working right now. Going on to the St. Louis Blues, David Perron and Ryan O'Reilly. This was another great duo going on to the last year. This year they're transitioning that once more. They've kind of sucked versus the LA Kings, but before that they were scoring at great rates, and obviously with Ryan O'Reilly especially one of the best defensive forwards in the NHL. I also have from the LA Kings, Anze Kopitar and Logan Brown. Especially these two guys on the power play have been awesome and are definitely worthy of a shout out. And last but not least, Jonathan Huberdeau and Patrick Hornqvist of the Florida Panthers, just like Markov and Verhaeghe, are doing fantastic things for the Florida Panthers. But now we are officially going to get into number 1, the best forward duo right now in the NHL to start out this season. So far in 2021, we're going to go on to the Boston Bruins and David Pastrnak and Brad Marchand. Now, it's really not a surprise that these two guys are just dominating in 2021, but with Pastrnak out for the first few weeks of the season, with Marchand, who was supposed to be out for longer but ended up really starting early, this was a duo that was kind of pushed in terms of luck away, but have found each other once more and have just been absolutely fantastic together. In terms of the point totals, in 9 games played, Pastrnak is a goal per game of 9, getting 5 assists as well on top of that for 14 points. When it comes to Brad Marchand, he's been at an amazing level, one of the best wingers in the NHL this season. In 16 games played, has 9 goals, 11 assists for 20 points. But it's not not just the offense. That's been fantastic. It's also been the defensive play when it comes to that entire first line that's been great. Obviously, Patrice Bergeron has been an amazing level as always, but Brad Marchand defensively is playing really, really solid hockey right now, and especially David Pastrnak, who I think is playing the best defensive hockey he's ever played. One of the main issues with me with Pastrnak at least has been the defensive play, especially the past year or so, but he has really stepped it up to an above average level, which compared to what he was at earlier is a major upgrade. This line is really doing it all right now in terms of goal scoring, in terms of playmaking, play driving, and defensive play, that in terms of what I want in a dynamic duo, they've been it for the past couple of years, and once again, at number one, have been awesome to start out this season and will continue to be awesome for the Boston Bruins. But that'll be it for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Comment down below what do you agree and disagree with my rankings, and who do you see right now as the best duos in the NHL this season. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you share this video with your friends. Get the dynamic duos out there, everyone, and click on this card for all my hockey rankings content right on playlist. My name is Nathan. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video or stream. Have a great day, everyone. Goodbye.